Hey guys, Michael here. Today we're going to talk about the TGW, or recently acquired by MHS, the MHS Pick Zone Divert. This video is about what it is and why we use it. Well, I'm answering this question more from a mechanical integrator standpoint, such as our customers, but I'll go into that nonetheless. As you can see on the screen here, this is a example layout. This portion right here is what we call the Pick Zone Divert module. It is actually delivered or controlled as a unit with these pieces. Feeding that conveyor is shown in the middle. That could be anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be MDR as shown here. It could be different types of conveyors like line shaft and belted covered MDR and a whole bunch of things. But for the sake of this standard, we're going to assume that it's being fed by a section of MDR. A pick zone divert is used to get product off of a main trunk line, the trunk line being the conveyor that runs down the middle here, to adjacent or flanking conveyors. Typically those flanking conveyors are gravity as shown here in the 10-foot and 7-foot 6-inch sections. And product will flow down the middle of this conveyor and come to the discharge end here. Typically, right before that, it's being scanned. We're scanning the barcode on the side of a tote or a carton, and based on that information, it can go straight forward or downstream, as we like to call it. Again, downstream is where product is going, upstream is where it's coming from, just like a river flowing from upstream to downstream. Or it can divert to the upper flanking conveyor or the lower flanking conveyor. This zone here is typically called a picking zone. It could be shelving or racking or just a automated system such as an OPEX robotic system or a Hainel vertical carousel or lift module called a VLM. And these could be empty cartons coming in. Empty cartons would come in, they would kick to a zone, those empty cartons would be assigned to an order, and then the operators would pick from these racking locations individual items and put it into the tote or the carton. This happens in a lot of distribution centers. When you go online and you order product from, say, a Wayfair or an Amazon, that product flows through the system, or your order flows through the system where they're putting multiple items into that box. The point of a pick zone is exactly what it sounds like. There's a zone of pickers here, and in this example, a zone here, and a third zone here, and a fourth zone here. So in all of these racks are different products. So as the package or tote is routing through the system, in the background, via the Revolution Street software, we would determine that that tote or order requires something that is in this zone. If we are able to ascertain that something's required there from the system, we will kick to that zone and product will be put into the tote or the carton and it'll be pushed back onto the trunk line. Typically, the flanking conveyor is slightly higher than the takeaway trunk line. So when a carton is sitting on that conveyor, it can be pushed on to the center, and once it's pushed on to the center, it conveys downstream again and can kick to the next zone, where the operator would take that package, bring it in their hand, throw product in there, slide it down the conveyor, put some more product, throw it onto the trunk line, and it would again convey downstream past the scanner, and the question would be asked again. Are there any picks in this zone or this zone? If the answer is no, it would go through or straight through, where it would ask the same questions at each of the corresponding pick zones. So again, a TGW or MHS pick zone divert module is called that because it comes as a unit, although you could get the same result with individual components or different form factors from different manufacturers. This one happens to be TGW/MHS's version, but this is a TGW pick zone divert module. As we go forward through some of these videos, you'll see that the form factor even of this can change, but fundamentally the center portion would always exist, and the flanking conveyors would exist or not exist based on requirements. So that could look like that, where there's 4 outputs of that pick zone. And why TGW pick zone divert versus something else? It just depends. Some of our customers are an integrator for TGW. They used to be called factory reps, or they may be a better fit from a timeline standpoint or lead time, or they may be a better fit from a cost standpoint. But that decision is usually not made by us. We usually don't have any input, although sometimes we can give our input. But that is a TGW or MHS pick zone divert, and that is why it's used to route product through a picking operation. You'll also see a little exception where a similar type of divert can be used as, say, a reject, where product is coming down a trunk line and that same kind of center module kicks off as just a divert. See you guys on the next video.